So the American Civil Liberties Union in Colorado is suing federal immigration officials there over alleged unlawful arrest of immigrants, and a Utah, Brazilian immigrant from Utah who was detained by immigration authorities. You recall this several months ago, was held for 15 days in Colorado last June. She's actually one of the plaintiffs in that lawsuit. The suit claims immigration officers are making warrantless arrests without probable cause. KSL NewsRadio's Adam Small has more.
The ACLU filed this lawsuit on behalf of 4 immigrants, including 19-year-old U of U student Caroline Diaz-Gonçalves, who was pulled over by a Colorado sheriff's deputy just minutes before she was arrested and detained by ICE back in June. She is now back home awaiting a decision on her asylum application. The new lawsuit claims ICE isn't arresting people like Gonçalves based on their immigration status and flight risk, but rather because of their skin color and to, quote, fulfill arbitrary arrest quotas set by Trump administration officials. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security vehemently denied those claims, saying their arrests are made off of reasonable suspicion. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
So if you recall, Gonçalves was driving a vehicle in Colorado. She's, I think, a University of Utah nursing student.
Yep.
With a Brazilian visa that had a student visa or something. It may have expired. It may not have.
She was a dreamer. She came here as a child.
Right. She gets stopped for. Oh, that's right. She gets stopped for following a semi-truck too close. The officer gives her a citation, a warning ticket, effectively, but holds her for an extraordinarily long time because he's contacting the immigration people saying, hey, you should check this person out. There's something that's not
chat.
Right about this. Yeah, on a chat. So she's held longer than is allowed for, if you think we colloquially call a traffic stop hook and release, because we don't detain people for very long for speeding or following too close. So we usually make that a fairly quick. And so if the detention lasts longer than what's normally required to write a ticket, it's an inappropriate stop.
Well, and I remember that it was 20 minutes, and he had her sent in the front seat of his patrol car.
Yeah, so she wasn't going anywhere.
She wasn't going anywhere, and then as soon as he said, "Okay, you can go now," she literally, like 1 minute later, was pulled over by ICE.
Yeah, he waited until they were within earshot and then said, "Oh, you can leave now." So the ACLU of Colorado has filed a lawsuit against the authorities there, and it's a lawsuit more for what we call injunctive relief, basically saying knock it off. You can't do this anymore, and maybe to have a judge give immigration authorities a roadmap of when they can and cannot detain individuals rather than just based on their skin color.
So I remember Colorado law is a little bit different, and that was one of the things that came into play, right, is that this officer did not have the authority really to share that information.
Right. Colorado law at the time precluded local law enforcement from working with immigration authorities. It said we're not immigration agents here. They do their work, we do ours, and we don't share. Utah has more of a sharing arrangement, at least with some of our jurisdictions.
So what can the judge order in this case?
Well, the judge can order them to stop and order them that. And so if a judge orders that these stops were illegal, then if they continue, there could be some consequences. So what they want is a finding for the judge to say, look, and I think that immigration authorities need to have better understanding, just for the benefit of the doubt, of when a person can be detained. Because we think in America about the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. A seizure is a seizure of the person. It's not necessarily a search warrant. So when you seize a person, we call that, arrest or detention, whatever you want to call it. You have to have probable cause to do that as well. And probable cause historically has not been brown skin. I mean, that's not probable cause of anything. You know what I mean? And immigration authorities are more and more using brown skin, Spanish accent, as probable cause that you're here illegally.
It seems that way. And look, I do have to say that in the KSL article about this, DHS responded and said allegations that DHS law enforcement officers engage in racial profiling are disgusting, reckless, and categorically false. What makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is if they're illegally in the U.S., not their skin color, race, or ethnicity. But back to the question, well, how are you then deciding?
Know that? Right.
And it seems to me like when he pulled her over, one of the questions the officer asked her was, "Oh, where are you from?" And she said, "Utah." And he goes, but were you born there? Do you have an accent?
Right.
And then she said, oh, I was born in Brazil.
Right. So then he's immediately thinking there's
Yep.
something more going on. So we have different levels of detention that we allow officers to do, like I talked about, a speeding ticket or something isn't a full-on arrest,
Right.
but it's a short detention, and you can stop somebody for that. If you find something else is going on at the time, like odor of alcohol on their breath,
Right.
an open container in their
Right.
car, then you can prolong the detention and maybe even make it into a full-on arrest. In this case, they didn't have anything other than her ethnicity, and that was an inappropriate, according to this lawsuit, reason to continue that detention of her.
Yeah, it's interesting that the DHS spokesperson says the ACLU is engaged in hostility towards immigration agents. So,
Well, we're going to learn a lot more over the next couple of years about immigration and policy and search and seizure and the Constitution and what it all means, because our courts are more and more giving a little bit more deference, sadly, or maybe, I don't know, but we need to do something about the immigration problem, and maybe we're opening the gates for continued detention or continued profiling because of our desire right now in this country to get illegal immigrants out of here. But it's not been the way we've done things in America historically.
well, it has been. It seems to be. It has been pretty indiscriminate. So what are next steps with this? So they filed a lawsuit. I'm assuming it hasn't even had a day in court because they just barely filed this.
Right. So the federal agencies will take a look at it. The immigration agencies, they'll look at it. They've already said we're going to ask that it be dismissed. The judge may have a hearing. He may even call Gonsalves and others. She's one of four named plaintiffs in that who are claiming they were illegally detained based on inappropriate and discriminating factors. They'll have a hearing on that, and then the judge may decide, look, you guys are crossing the line. You're doing things inappropriately. You need to dial it back. Or the judge might say, based on what I'm hearing, you guys had probable cause, and what you did was right. So it's more of a lesson. It's more of a message lawsuit. Let's give immigration authorities some rules and not let this happen again, or maybe they're doing things correctly.
I only have a few seconds left, but I know that like California tried to say ICE agents can't mask their faces, and I think that if I remember correctly, a court said, "Oh well, actually they can." Do you know?
Yeah, I don't see that. That would seem to be a silly. I mean, you could mask anything you want. I mean, unless you're going into a bank to cash a check. You know what I mean? But I don't see a problem with that. I mean, certainly undercover officers cover their faces when, you know what I mean, when they're doing search warrants, so they don't get recognized. But I don't think that's going to go very far. In all seriousness.
Yeah. Okay.